Okay, starting this again. Today, I'm going to go to Sheremetyevo Airport, Sheremetyevo, Pushkin International at Moscow, and I don't want this plane. I picked it earlier, but it does not have the avionics that I want. So I'm going to go with this one, and I've already selected runway 24L, so we're going to start out at nighttime, which is no good really for sightseeing, and the object of this excursion is to find the Kremlin. I've been trying to find it for 2 days without any luck. And that's one of the Garmin avionics, and I didn't have it in the first plane I picked, which you won't see because... Alright, now this says the live weather is clear. I don't know if that's true. I didn't expect that. Sometimes it's late to kick in. There's no snow on the ground here, which there ought to be, which tells me this is not really the live weather. So I'm going to turn it off because I don't want it for a couple of reasons. I don't think this plane has a de-icing capability, and that would be totally necessary. And the other thing I'm going to do is, just to make it interesting, is add a few clouds. And with the, whoops, no, I don't want to do that. Oh, let's leave that where it is. And let's reduce the overcast. And now I'm going to bring up the chart. And we are at Sheremetyevo. Sheremetyevo. Okay, I think I've got that. And before I take off, I want to set up the approach procedure. I'm just going to take a little time here. So I'm going to enter the airport code in here. UUEE. Enter that. Pick our runway. You can see when you have to use the mouse, and any head movement of mine moves the screen. Chasing a button around the screen is really frustrating. Okay, and this is a very simple flight plan because we're coming back here, and enter that. This is a little keyboard icon I have to click so that I can use my keyboard. In an actual plane, you turn this knob to get the letters you want, but that's really tough in this. Okay, and we're going to land the same direction, 24L. Okay, and enter that. And the last thing I have to do is select an approach so we can get back to the airport. And enter. And it's going to be, for simplicity, ILS 24L. Enter. And not vectors. I tried that yesterday. We're going to go directly to the initial approach fix. Enter that, and load it. This is the Garmin G1000NXi, which is very sophisticated avionics system And one time last year on a flight from LAX to Chicago, while at the gate in LAX, it was on a 787, Boeing 787 Dreamliner, and I had an opportunity to visit the cockpit, and they were kind enough. So we're sitting at the gate, and I was close to the front, and it was one of those planes where the passengers are boarding behind the cabin I was in, and consequently, there was no problem with me going to the cockpit. Wasn't interfering with anybody, and it wouldn't have resulted in a stampede of other people wanting to go to the cockpit. I was surprised more people in my cabin didn't ask for that. Anyway, in the cockpit, I mentioned that I was fooling around with this system in the simulator, and they said that, in truth, these systems are more advanced than what they have in the Dreamliner, which isn't surprising considering when the Dreamliners were built, and a lot of these kinds of avionics, I mean, they're very sophisticated, of course, but these totally integrated screens were not available. Okay, one more thing I gotta do here. That's the heading bug. I'm setting it to the heading of the runway. I'm gonna take off, go to the left, head for the Moscow River, and find this big church, and the Kremlin is supposed to be right past it. I'll be using the autopilot and the heading bug, if I can, to steer us at a constant altitude to where we want to go. And so, one other thing, what is this plane? It's kind of a sport plane. It's an Austrian make, I think, called a Diamond. And I forget which model this is, but it's the one with the avionics. And the nice thing about it is the big windscreen. So, you can see all over the place. Release the parking brake. And let's go. I think I can lift off about now. This has fixed landing gear. No retractable gear to worry about. And got to reduce the RPMs a little bit. So I'm just gonna, there's a terminal. Let's take a look at it. Let's also not sink. And that's it. I think we got autopilot because it just turned. Alright, good. Wasn't sure. Okay, so we're at 2000 where I wanted to be. And the autopilot will maintain our altitude. And I can use the heading to steer the plane here. And when we get where I want to go, I will disable the autopilot so we can circle. So I've been flying around here for a few days trying to find the damn Kremlin, and I haven't seen it. And curiously, very curiously, there is no point of interest marker for it. And I have my suspicions about that. I think it's over there, so I'm going to go that way. I know it's not over here. Key thing is to find that church. So you'll notice these things are, they call POI markers, points of interest. They are few and far between in Moscow, which I find very curious. And at this point, I think I'm actually going to go off the autopilot. The thing to do is I have to find the church. If I can find the church, I can find where the Kremlin's supposed to be. I'm suspicious as to why I cannot find the Kremlin. I'm going to head towards the nearest point of interest marker, which is dead ahead. Those are those little white lines with the white dots on top of them. If that's the church, the Kremlin should be just up the river. I have not seen the church. It is. Okay. Well, immediately the Kremlin should be right there. Okay? And Red Square and the whole kit and caboodle. The only reason I know this is because I watched somebody else's video. And they had the Kremlin. But they also have said it was somebody's modified scenery. And it was pretty good. What I want to see is if this is as good, or if it is actually anywhere close. So I'm going to reduce power to descend and hope I don't activate the Kremlin missile system. So there's the church. Eastern Orthodox, I assume. And there's the Kremlin. That is the Kremlin, okay?
Diamond Oscar Hotel Alpha, did you copy?
Well, I did, but I'm awfully busy right now. What I don't see is the onion domes. That's where the Kremlin is supposed to be.
Diamond Oscar Hotel Alpha, did you copy?
Yeah. Boy, it's irritating. I'm about to stall.
.2 for Diamond Oscar Hotel Alpha.
Okay, that's the Kremlin. That is Red Square. But where are the domes? There's a wall around it as per Google Earth and everything I've looked at. There's some domes. It doesn't look too realistic, I don't think. I hope I'm not making it dizzy. Again, there's a church. That's nice. So anybody who has actually been to Moscow and been to Red Square can weigh in on what they think of the Microsoft Flight Simulator Kremlin. At least it's here. I had suspicions that the Russians didn't want it shown in the simulator. But I think a lot of it's missing. It's just not the way I thought it would look. And I don't want to spin out and crash. I have a feeling if we went to Florence, there's a thought, the Duomo would look a lot better than this. One building, no onion domes. That's very disappointing. Okay, so that's it for that. Going to go back up to a reasonable altitude and back to the airport. I'm just going to steer towards that. I'm going to bring us back up around here so we can line up, and then I will arm the approach. So using the heading bug again, that little blue thing, let's turn us, I'm turning the plane on a course that would be, well, 90 degrees to the runway. Now I want to go parallel to the runway, actually. There we go. Okay, I'm using the heading selector to turn us on a course that is parallel to runway 24, and in the process we will get a little tour of the greater Moscow area. So we're about roughly there, and now I'm going to turn on a course, a 90-degree course to the runway. Just kind of eyeballing it there. A little adjustment. Okay, so the chart again. We're heading towards Kazun, and we get close enough, I'm going to arm the approach. Anyways, you can see this is a great plane for looking around, which is why I picked it. So we're on an intersect course with a localizer there. Oh, look at that, what's going on? We are turning onto the localizer, I believe. Maybe I don't need to do anything. Straightening out. So we are headed back to Sheremetyevo, 24L. And actually managed to pull this off. We're going for an ILS landing. The GS up here is white. Well, I assume it's going to go green when we get close enough. So I'm going to slow down. Where are we? We're just really have to slow this thing down. Got to get the engine, the airspeed down into the white on the left-hand strip. And Zuba, that's where we should be starting our descent. We are on the localizer, but we don't seem to be... Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. Got the glide slope. Get rid of the chart. I just keep pushing buttons till the right thing happens. Got to get under 100 knots true airspeed. This is 95 knots indicated airspeed. 97 knots true airspeed. The slower you go, indicated, the closer it gets to the true airspeed, I've learned. And we're descending at about 450 feet a minute. And I don't know if flaps are necessary, but I'll put some in shortly. So I hope you've enjoyed our little tour. The Kremlin is very disappointing. And as again, I find it very curious that there is no marked point of interest for it. And I think, I'm just guessing, that Russia's authorities did not want it highlighted in the sim. And not because of people like me, but maybe others who might have had nefarious interests in flying around the Kremlin. So, I'm going to put in some full flaps and throttle up. I've never gone all the way to the runway on autopilot. Don't quite trust it for that. So I'll turn it off. Straighten out. And that's it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this flight. And I'm going to go park the plane. I'm not crazy about this plane because steering it on the ground is really kind of funky. It's very light, so it doesn't take much for it to swing around, and I'm probably overdoing it. Nice flight. Found the Kremlin. Suspiciously unmarked. I think that's Microsoft's collusion with the powers that be in Russia. If you want to have Russians playing this game, or Kazakhs, or anybody in the area, don't give them it. Don't make the Kremlin, finding the Kremlin, easy for them. All right, that's it. I'm just going to park it over here. There's a little parking space right there. That little T is a parking space, so there, turn it off. All right. So I think I'm just going to end it with a traditional air traffic control sign off today, which is good day.